Back in the 70s, I started using cannabis, and I heard about the Rastafarians who were using it, the religious users, and they claimed it was the tree of life of the Bible, the plant of renown, the tree that believes for the healing of the nations. And I thought, well, could that be true? And as I looked further into it, I found out, yes, it probably is true. And then I had heard about the Zoroastrians from like 5000 BC, and they used a plant they called Haoma. And from all the surviving writings, it appears that Haoma, in fact, is cannabis. And they used it as a food primarily. It was basically taking the plant, letting it go to seed, so you had a big seeded flower bud, and putting that into a mortar and pestle, grinding it to a milk, because the seeds are very oily, and so when it was fully seeded, it would make like a milk, similar to we have almond milk today, and things like that. So then they would filter it out and drink it. So, and it gained a reputation as an elixir of immortality almost. It was Haoma, who holds death afar, holds death at a distance. And then at the same time, the Indians on the continent of India, they had a drink they called Soma. Well, it's the identical thing, same as Haoma, basically blending up cannabis and filtering it out and drinking it as a food. And as it turns out, it's a tremendously nutritious food. Today, you can go to Sprouts or some health food stores, you can buy, unfortunately, you can't really buy whole fertile cannabis hemp seed yet in the United States for human consumption. You can buy sprouted hemp seed that have the hulls removed. They call them hemp nuts, and those are pretty good food. You can also buy hemp oil, which is the oil that's pressed from the seed. And these are very, very good foods, and they're not illegal. You don't need a card to go buy them. Anyone can buy them, so I would recommend those. And over the many, many decades of time, I had worked with cannabis and worked with people, and I saw many miraculous things happen, but I also saw that it couldn't do everything. It couldn't put vitamins in your body, it couldn't put minerals in your body, it couldn't make vitamin D and things like that. And I found out that there were these other factors that were very important for people's overall health, and some of these are very, very simple things that are easily done. And we know now, and science is pretty much determined that vitamin D deficiency is at the basis of most cancers. And almost everybody is walking around in a pretty deficient state of vitamin D. And that's D3 that we need, and there's not really any good food sources for it. Even though there's lots of things that are fortified with vitamin D, and now I see even on packets of mushrooms, they're claiming that you can get a good dose of vitamin D. But unfortunately, that vitamin D2, and those mushrooms don't produce that naturally. They actually expose them to a UVB light after they're harvested, and they do produce a small amount of vitamin D. So this has sort of been a new thing that they've been doing. But anyway, in order to get enough vitamin D, you really have to take a supplement. So I would urge everyone here to take a vitamin D supplement every day, probably around 5,000 internal units, which is quite a bit more than what the RDA is, but it appears that we all need it, especially as we age, because we don't seem to make enough vitamin D. The thing that goes along with vitamin D is magnesium, and it turns out that we're almost all universally deficient in magnesium. And most of the vitamins contain a form of magnesium called magnesium oxide, which is not very absorbable to us. So you really have to seek out a good source of magnesium, magnesium glycinate or orotate. I have a handout back that you can pick up that has all of this information on it, so you really don't have to take notes or anything. But this magnesium, the vitamin D needs magnesium in order to be properly converted in our body, so when you take the supplements, you need adequate magnesium. Now, beyond that, I really don't take any other vitamins, and I don't recommend that people take much other vitamins than that. You have to get all these vitamins from food sources, and so what you have to seek out are these higher sources of food that have these whole food vitamins in them. And there are some of them that are readily available, and a lot of them that are not. A lot of these things you actually have to get from Amazon, or you have to order them on the internet. I buy a lot of things on Amazon, and you can save a lot of money, and you can actually achieve a higher state of health by getting some of these more exotic plant materials. So some of these things that are one of the most miraculous things that you can take on a daily basis that costs virtually nothing is aloe vera. Now, probably everyone has an aloe vera plant growing around, and you could go out and just cut off a leaf and fillet that gel out of there. Most people don't really like the consistency of it. It's very slimy. But if you can tolerate it, you can eat it just like that, and it's very good. But you can also just go to Walmart or Walgreens or some other stores, and they sell a gallon jug of it for about $7. And a gallon jug of it, if you drink like 3 ounces a day, just a couple of shot glasses full, it will last you quite some time. It will last quite a number of months. And you'll really notice a dramatic improvement in a lot of aspects of your being right away just from using that very inexpensive aloe vera. It's really a magical thing that's just completely overlooked, that people are completely overlooking it. There's another plant that has been used for probably as long as cannabis, and it's known as holy basil. It's also called tulsi. It's got over 5,000 years of time. It's got names like the incomparable one, the mother medicine of nature, the elixir of life. And when plants get names like this, maybe we should pay attention to it. Well, anyway, holy basil has a lot of advantages of medical marijuana, but it's not marijuana. It's not a controlled substance. So that's another thing that you could search out. And you can even grow it. It grows very good here in Arizona. I grow it myself, harvest my own holy basil plants, and you can buy it online. It's about $30 a pound to buy a pound of the holy basil leaves. So, it's a pretty economical thing. Other common things that I would recommend that people would eat on a daily basis are ginger and turmeric. Both of these, there are lots of things that will kill cancer in a petri dish. Cannabis will absolutely kill cancer cells, but so will ginger, and so will turmeric, and so will frankincense, and so will quite a few other things in a petri dish type situation. So the thing is why not just do everything? If you're trying to get over some type of chronic condition, or if you're just a healthy person and you want to remain healthy or achieve a higher state of health, ultra health, beyond normal health, these are things that you can do to do that. There's another tree that grows very well out here that you can also grow. It's called Moringa Oleifera, the drumstick tree, also the miracle tree. It can grow 20 feet tall in one season, and you eat the leaves. And it turns out it's like growing your own multivitamin. So this is another thing that you can seek out. You can buy a bag of it on Amazon, or you could grow your own trees. There's a number of other things. A few of the things that are often overlooked are minerals. And we say, well, how do we get minerals in our diet? Well, it's funny. We should get most of our minerals from salt. But we've changed the nature of salt over decades of time. Back in the old days, people used to use rock salt or mineral salt, which are basically ancient sea salt deposits that were from, say, seas that dried up millions of years ago. And they're up on the land now, and they mine that salt out. That's the kind of salt that we all should be using on a daily basis, and we need like 3 grams of salt every day. So we talked about the lies of cannabis, and how these people lied about cannabis, and they said, oh, it's this horrible thing, it's going to cause everyone to be addicted. And we found that was a lie. Well, there's a lot of other lies, too, that were nutritional lies. There was a salt lie. They said, oh, don't eat salt. Salt will kill you. Well, the fact is that more than salt will kill you. Okay? But the true rock salt, the true mineral salt that has all of the natural minerals that are present in natural seawater will not. There's the sunlight. You know, the vitamin D, we make vitamin D in response to sunlight. That's really how we get it. But we also make a lot of other substances in response to sunlight that are really almost unknown to science because they're very minute amounts. But when we get out in the sun penetrates our skin very deeply. It just doesn't bounce off. It goes deep into our bodies and creates things. So the lie was the sun will kill you, stay out of the sun. And the doctors have been telling us this for 40 years. Stay out of the sun will kill you. And if you go out in the sun, put all kinds of stuff on your skin. Well, I'm telling you that that's wrong. It's a lie. Okay, the sun will kill you if you lay out in it all the time. But we all need a certain amount of sun every single day to be healthy. So, we have the cannabis lie, the sun lie, the salt lie, and now there's a vitamin lie. And a lie was about all these vitamins. They told us to take all these vitamins. Well, most of the cases are these vitamins are almost like drug form. They're an isolated substance. Even ascorbic acid, that's not natural vitamin C. That's not what Linus Pauling used in his research when he proved that vitamin C cures cancer and all these things. He used a whole food type of vitamin C. So, we have to seek out these. And I've listed a number of things on my handout, such as camu bush. It has 600 times more vitamin C than oranges, okay? It's a plant, and you can buy this powder. Now the question is, how do you eat all these things? Well, what I had to do was to make a base, like a vegetable base. You go buy like $20 worth of vegetables, throw them in a blender, and just blend them all up, and then divide that out into small portions, and then that becomes a base to add these powders to, these superfood powders. There's one particular one you can go buy. It's called Green Vibrance. It's a 77 ingredient superfood complex. You can get it at Sprouts or other places. It also has 16 strains of probiotic in there, which is it's almost worth the money just for the probiotic. But it also has a lot of spirulina and wheatgrass and lots of these other things that I recommend. So if you're suffering from some condition, give Green Vibrance a try. And I just had a couple of books here. You might have seen this book, Eat to Live. It's Dr. Joel Fuhrman. He's one of the guys you often see on public broadcasting. He does a lot of different programs. And he's got several other books. But this is a really good book that will kind of help you to clean up your diet and tell you why you really need to stop eating most of the things that probably most of you are eating, and start eating more things like lots of mushrooms, lots of onions, lots of garlic, kale, spinach, work all those types of things in. And of course all your other vegetables too. But fruits not so much. You won't see a lot of these nutritional guys, talking a lot about fruits. Now berries is one thing, blueberries and all these berries are excellent. But as far as your apples and things like that, don't think you're doing something really good for yourself when you're eating an apple. It's mostly sugar. There's some stuff in there, but anyway, this is a book. This is called Cannabis in the Soma Solution. It's like a 700-page book. It's all about the history of cannabis in all of the cultures, China, India, all around the world. So, very interesting book. And another book, a recent book, is called The Calcium Lie 2, What Your Doctor Still Doesn't Know. And this is a really, really good book, and it's not just about calcium, it's about a lot of other things too. I found this very valuable. So, anyway, that's...
Thank you.
Or use books even. I know this Eat to Live has been out for a really long time, so $5 copy around.
Are you going to go somewhere?
Sure.
Reverend Mike, you had a couple minutes left. Does anybody have any questions for Reverend Mike before he goes? Anyone? We've got one hand in the air over here.
I have to wonder about dosage. Like, can you make one health drink every day and put everything in it?
That's what I do, but I don't drink it, I actually eat it, I make it more like a paste, you know, and it's sort of, I mean, it's like a big green blob of paste. But, you know, you just eat it and, you know, you drink
It doesn't matter what time of day?
I don't know, I do it at lunchtime, you know.
Let me interrupt you. A half hour after dinner, he's been my coach.
Oh,
I've got my doctor's report with him.
oh.
The way he eats is weird. The man is.
It's weird but healthy.
Yeah, you gotta eat the funky stuff.
Mike, you also put some in the freezer, in the freezer
Right.
bags.
I'm not totally on his program, you know, I'm doing it like a step at a time, I look at like building blocks. And he's told me things about my body, like your belly there, that's just, you do the green vibrance, it's gonna fall out, and it did.
I have
It did. And my doctor's report I just got, the man has invaluable information, and you don't have to follow it, right? Nobody's perfect.
So it's okay to freeze it?
I change.
It's okay to freeze it, yeah. I don't waste any vegetables. I mean, I just go buy it once a month, blend it all up, and it's multiple blender runs. You know, you run it about 5 times, and you have to have another bowl that you dump it into, and then use a hand mixer to mix all that up, and then kind of parcel it out. But once you do it, I mean, it's done for, you know, 40 days. So you don't have to mess with it again. I freeze it into like a 9-ounce, it's about an 8-ounce portion, and that's enough for 2 servings. So actually, the thing that I actually add all these powders to, it's a very small amount of pureed vegetables, which has, you know, everything in there, carrots. It's a very small amount. There's probably like a half a carrot in there, you know. But really, you can't eat your way to health from the grocery store. You have to seek out these higher sources of nutrition, the algae, the moringa, you know, these types of things. And
If we need to get in touch with you, just send you an email.
yeah, you send me, sure.
Mike's contact is on your agenda, you guys. I hope everybody here got an agenda. If you didn't, be sure to pick one up. It's got the contact information for everyone who's speaking today in the order so that you can know who it was and hopefully match it to who you wanted to talk to. So be sure to get in touch with anyone that you have questions with. And thank you again, Reverend Mike, for all your great information. One more round of applause for this gentleman. The folks I know who he's helping are absolutely just beaming about the good information he's got. And that good information is in a stack back there with other good information. Make sure that you pick one up before you leave. Now everyone, I'd like you to please pay attention to up front. We've got Kathleen coming up to give us a patient testimony.